guys, and welcome to my first ever video. And today we're gonna know how to counter the Soul Stealer perk. Now the Soul Stealer is probably one of the most expensive defense perk in the entire game. Cost 220, which is probably like a hour of grinding if you're a pro at the game. However, if you're a new game, it'll probably take you like 24 hours or so. But there's ways to counter them, and these perks are kind of cheap. They're not that expensive, but you need to unlock the other perks to unlock them also. And here's my top 5 ways to counter the Soul Stealer. We're not going to show the perks yet. We're going to talk about if you don't have perks, then how to counter them. Well, there's a way to counter them. Is one, don't not target him as long as possible. Like if you have a weapon and he doesn't have anything, you'll obviously win because you have a weapon and he doesn't have souls in the game, so he's squishy in the early game. Well, unless if he has a lot of armor. But if you somehow manage to counter him with the souls, if you somehow manage to find him, try to kill him. If you have a weapon or something, or your fist is fine, and you can just target him so hard that he'll not get any souls in the late game. If you keep doing this, he'll probably get like 50 souls in the late game, where the circle is kind of small, and he's useless in the late game if he has 50 souls, because well, he's squishy. His armor, 50 souls is basically like a tier 3 armor, meaning if you target him so hard and he has 50 or below souls, he can actually be weak in the late game. So, and wait, but now you probably might be saying, but what about the loot? Sure, the loot gives him souls, but in the late game, there's not a lot of souls, not a lot of loot crates to get, meaning he's kind of useless in the late game if you keep targeting him and he has low souls. Because remember, if he has and here's a pro tip to counter the soul collector: do not let him get 100 souls. If he has 100 souls, then he'll obviously win, because his armor is a lot tougher than a tier 5 armor, meaning your diamond sword will be useless against him. The only thing that can damage him when he has 100 souls is the netherite sword or tier 4 or tier 5 bow. It's the only thing that can damage him, and the tier 5 bow is the hardest one to get, because you have to upgrade stuff and you need tier 4 bow. Sure, tier 4 bow can be found in mythic boxes or legendary or sometimes mythic crates. However, they don't appear it most of the time, so you have to target him so early and not let him. Okay, if you don't have a perk, then and if you can't find him, there's another way to counter him. Is by not letting him give any loot boxes. Like, I'm not saying he cannot get any common or rare loot. I recommend not letting him get rare, mythic, epic, and legendary, as they have extremely good stuff in there. Like tier 3 bow is fine in the late game, but tier 4 bow is actually good in the late game. And if he has all have 100 souls, he's basically gonna win if you target him or team with him. But teaming won't. But I recommend not teaming, because because the soul collector perk are most likely pros, meaning they can just report you, since they're not that stupid enough to not report. Stupid. Okay, now let's move on to the perks. Now the first perk that you can counter him is probably the prepare shot. and it's very cheap. Only costs 20. I think 20. I forgot. I think it costs 20 time shards, which ain't kinda hard to get. But 20 time shard is not that difficult. All you need is 10 losses or 2 wins, and that's it. And the matches aren't that long, meaning you can get this perk easily. Now, the prepare shot, what it does, it basically increases your bow damage every time you have every time you inflict a melee hit. For example, if you the tier 5 bow does 4 damage on an armorless player, but if you punch a player one time, any player, you can do 4.5 heart damage. So it's kind of useful against a soul collector if you know how to use a bow properly, not just going and doing this, like shooting randomly like this and this, even though you're not predicting his moves. You need to be good at the bow to use this perk, otherwise this perk is kind of useless if you don't know how to use a bow correctly. And if you land so many melee hits on players, even any player, it can actually sometimes, if you have tier 5 bow and then 50 melee hits on any player, sometimes you might actually 3-shot the soul collector without any problem. Even 100 souls, you can still 3-shot him, and sometimes he might survive. So I don't know what's the damage of 50 shots, but he can one shot if you know. It can 3 shots if you know how to use it. If you can aim with a bow. However, if he deals a ton of damage, he will do this. Like, that's called dodging. How do you know? Wait, you're gonna say, wait, that means this perk is only useful against bow fights or melee fights? Okay, it's useful in melee fights because you can increase the damage, and you can actually counter him if you predict his move. If you can predict his move, like from Technoblade or Dream. If you can actually predict the movement of the soul collector, you might actually kill him. If it's possible, of course, because pro players know how to dodge bows. However, if you're a master at bowing, I recommend using this perk. And here's the second perk. Now, if you suck at bowing and you want melee fights, then the perk you want is Daredevil. If you suck at bowing, now Daredevil is basically what it does is basically, if you have 9 hearts or more or above, you will deal less damage, minus half a heart. And below 9 hearts is your damage will return to normal. If you have 4 hearts, if you have 4 hearts or below, you can actually do a hard punch. And not only that, but the buff of the Daredevil gave you, like, the +1 ignores armor, meaning you can actually do some damage with him with the diamond sword now. Like 11 shots can kill him, but that ain't much. If you put him with the netherite sword, it gets even better, because you can deal 3 damage now at him, which is like, it takes you like 8 shots to kill him, unless if he doesn't run away and fight. However, the only main drawback is the fact that if you have 9 hearts or more, you'll get minus damage, like half a heart. It's basically the same as tank. And a pro tip: do not use a tank when you have a prepare shot. It's terrible. That's the pro tip that I want to give you. It's terrible. Okay, in the and you need to combo him when you have 4 hearts, because you can do a lot of damage when you have a netherite sword and something. You can actually damage him if you know how to use it correctly, of course. Now the third perk that can counter him is, wait, I'm gonna go explain. Okay, if you suck at bowing or mealeeing and you need better loot than him, then the perk you want is the Vault Raider. Now the Vault Raider, what it does, it gives you a Vault Key Tracker, which only has one use, meaning if you pick up one Vault Key on the chest, then you lose your compass, meaning it's only one use. However, it's kind of luck based. You need a netherite sword or tier 4 bow, tier 4 or tier 5 bow. If you don't have those stuff, I recommend only having a tier 5 armor. It's enough to kill him, and need a weapon like a wooden sword to do some damage. That's actually kind of good against the Soul Collector, because you can dominate him in the early game, and you cannot. And if you're gonna dominate in the early game, you will not let him get any souls. And how about, wait, you're probably guessing. Then if you try to run away, what do we do? Well, just chase him. Wait, and you're probably saying, what? Why? Because you will not let him get any souls. If you actually do that, he'll never win. He doesn't have any stuff. He doesn't have anything. Let's be honest. Think about it. Let's waste your time against the chasing the soul collector, so he won't get any souls in the late game. Now that's epic. You can actually not let him get his souls, and if you want to chase him around, this perk is for you. If you have good armor and then a good soul, if you have tier 5 armor or tier 4 armor and a sword, iron sword or stone sword is enough. You can actually chase him around and not let him get any souls. Because remember, he can't regenerate souls if he doesn't have kills or gain any loot from the loot box. So he's useless when he's getting chased. He's defenseless in the late game if you do this trick about chasing him when he doesn't have good stuff. Okay, I'm gonna just turn off the sound because it's kind of annoying. You'll probably not hear my voice. Okay, there. Okay, it's a good way to counter the Soul Collector, but there are kinda a bit better options, such as the Daredevil if you want to dominate an early game. They can actually do damage to the Soul Collector and target him like chasing. And then the last perk that can counter him, I don't think we have, is probably the feedback loop. Now the feedback loop is the greatest way to farm time shard. But it's actually useful. But what you didn't know, it's actually useful against the Soul Collector. But the only issue is it's luck based. You cannot just pick any bounty what you want. It's random, meaning if you didn't target the Soul Collector, well, it's a waste. However, you can just return it by killing another person with a bounty and you get a time shard. However, it's not an efficient way to walk, as you're just gonna waste your time just to walk to a bounty. How I recommend is using a sword, getting a glider and having a sword, stone sword or wooden sword. I don't care. If you kill the player, you can, and you roll the dice by using the feedback loop. If you get the Soul Collector, well, target him if you want. You can not. However, it's fine to not target him because you can actually track his location. And if you're in a duo game You can actually tell your teammate. I think it's a lot. You can tell your teammate to not let him go any directions, and you can even and if you're if you're in a soul game, and if you have a soul collector in it, and the player has a soul collector perk, you can actually in the solo game. I don't know if it's allowed to just sabotage his. Like for example, you can if he's in a jungle biome, you can tell him where he is. And I don't think it's allowed. I think it's allowed. I don't know how to edit thumbnails. I don't actually really care about thumbnails. Okay, 5:50. I have to go. Well, that's today's video, and I think I'm gonna make a tier list of the perks, so you can actually know what perks to use and not. Yeah, I think I'll just upload that. I'll just make the video. Okay. See you guys later. If you like my content, then be sure to subscribe or like. And if this helps you a lot, if this helps a lot, then you can subscribe or like the video if you want. However, if you don't like subscribing, it's fine. I don't really care about subscribers. I only make YouTube for fun. However, if you like this video and helps you a lot, be sure to like, and it's fine to not subscribe. Okay, see ya guys. Bye.